sometimes boys and girls have babies. They don't even know how to fight. They don't know how to fight and build. They don't know how to fight for their family. They don't know how to, create a strong family. And so if you are in a position to where you're going to be an example, you can help this young man or this young woman learn how to fight and how to build a strong family, then you should play your part. What up? Listen, it's another edition of A Father's Heart podcast with your boy Shon Hart and Cole Williams. But today there is no Cole. It's just me and my beard alone. I can't talk junk because Cole is not here. But I told him, listen, I'll do this one on my own today, man. Just between you and I. Listen, just a little intimate time tonight while we just discuss, family and, just the whole thing of fatherhood. So I thought it'd be a good time for me just to share a few things, right? Just talk to you about like why I do what I do. But I also have some video clips, man, to really help paint a picture on, why I got into this space, man, and some of the work that we have done, some of the impact that we have made in the lives of families. So, like the thing about it is that, you never know why you do. I'm not going to say you never know why you do what you do, right? Because eventually we want to discover why we do what we do. And it wasn't till years later why I really discovered why I was in this whole fatherhood space, right? I have never experienced the whole co-parenting piece or dealing with the legal system with the children and all of that. And so that wasn't, a motivating factor for me. And sometimes people if that wasn't your issue, why would you go and pick up that torch? And why would you get into that space? And the answer is simple, because I look back when I worked in the prison, that was the part where I made that connection, right? I made the connection by working in the prison. I realized that there was a generational, and some people call it generational curse, generational pattern, but it was definitely a pattern that was taking place that I realized, right? And it wasn't even a black thing, right? It wasn't a black thing where it was all of these African Americans incarcerated, although there was a large, proportion, of them. But this was the thing, is that for the first time, I realized that fatherlessness or father issues didn't come in color. Right? It didn't come in color. It wasn't a color issue. It was a human issue. And so, getting in there, starting to work with those men, not only did I make an impact in their lives, those men made an impact in my life. Right? And so it made me start looking at, some of my own childhood trauma, some of my own issues that I was having. I had to get to a place to where I was saying, you know what, Shon, you got to deal with your own issues. And as I started to deal with mine, I'm like, man, what about those other children that are out there? How do they get to a place to reconcile, their trauma, their relationship? How do they build that relationship back with their fathers? But I was just looking at, talking to these men, white, black, Hispanic, Muslim, Wiccan, Christian, all types. This was the thing, is that when I began to talk to these men and have these groups, a lot of them said that they were not raised by a positive male role model. Their father wasn't, involved, or didn't have a great relationship, or did not know him. And so my thing was like, man, you guys have fathered children. Many of you fathered children, and now you're incarcerated. And as much as you say that I don't want to follow in that same pattern, unfortunately, you have, right? So you're here and they're there. They're being raised by, a single mom doing the best that she know how to do, taking on a lot of flack because you have people saying she doesn't know how to raise a man. Well, you know, outside of, some circumstances where, where a mom could allow a dad to be more involved, I'm talking about those who really don't have a choice, where the father is just straight up absent. He like not being involved. Those women are doing the best that they know how to do with what they have. And so that's where it really began when I'm like, yo, Shon, as you're working on you, um, you should really get in the trenches and begin to help break the cycle. And that's where I just picked up that mantle and said, you know what, man, go ahead and do something. And I just started, just doing stuff in the community. And you hear me say it all the time, man, don't chase the bag, chase the assignment. And what I started doing, not even knowing that that was the model, but I just started chasing the assignment. And as I began to chase the assignment, that's when doors of opportunity began to open. And that's when men who were broken, who were hurting, just began to become more attracted, to me, and wanted to start pouring out their heart. And like at the end of the day, like, man, I don't know why I'm telling you this. You know what I mean? My wife says it's the man whisperer. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. Whatever it is, it just began to attract more men to me, and I just accepted it. Right? I accepted it as this is my assignment. This is my life's mission. Part of my life's mission to help restore families, and I just do it, along with my other support systems. We just do it through fatherhood engagement because we believe that if you create a strong father, you create a strong family. And if we have a strong family, then our communities become stronger. And I just believe like that is the model. I just believe that is the model. Nothing against anything else, but statistics show that when you have positive male role models involved, when you have males involved, listen, you will see a much bigger impact taking place in the community. And so that's why I started doing what I do. And so I just want to share a couple things that I've learned throughout the years of how we got to this place, what's taking place now, and what we can do. And I have this one video clip that I want to share with you, that I share with professionals when I'm doing my some presentations. And so watch this clip, and let's talk about it right afterwards. So I do want to warn you that there is a part where where the actor used the N word. So he's just not using it just to use it, but he is being emphatic and drawing home his point. So if you'll be offended by that, then you don't want to watch this video. Just fast forward and then come back to it. But I want to share with you a video clip from the movie Claudine, and it's the scene where they are at the welfare office and trying to get assistance, right? Because the whole time my man was trying to date this woman. She has multiple kids. The father's not around, and he's attracted to her, and he's coming around. He want to buy gifts, all types of stuff. He want to love on her, and the system would not allow him to do that. So he had to go and hide. Like whenever he was there, he had to hide in the bed, hide his shoes, hide all types of stuff, because if he was there, if he was present, if it showed any type of increase at all, they would remove the support. And so here's a scene where they both are doing the right thing, saying, hey, let's go down to welfare office and let's see how we can rectify this situation. So check out this video and let's wax deep afterward.
from the program, but this will be determined after your financial status has been computed by us. It has nothing to do with the age of the children. You understand?
Now, if you will sign this statement, it shows your income and your expenses, Mr. Marshall, and get it back to me within 2 weeks. You understand?
Yes, I understand all that, but listen, I gotta ask you something because I gotta think about this thing. What happens if I lose my job?
If you're married, you must apply for welfare.
Oh, I must apply for welfare?
You must apply for welfare. Otherwise, this would constitute a misuse of ADC funds.
Which is fraud.
You understand? If the husband's unwilling or unable to make a contribution equal to what it would cost him to maintain an independent living arrangement, he must apply for welfare. Do you understand? Otherwise, this would constitute a misuse of ADC funds.
Which is fraud.
Which is misappropriation.
Which is fraud.
Right, okay, now wait a minute. Now, if I marry this lady, I want to make things better. But if I spend $1 on it, you're going to deduct it from her, right? If I want to buy a little something extra, you're going to deduct it. And I better report every penny I spend, or else I'm a crook. Okay, now you say if I lose my job, I must apply for welfare because I can't just sit around eating the government's biscuit.
Which is fraud.
Because that's a fraud, right? Okay, now, if I do go into welfare, then I'm just another lazy-ass nigga that's living off taxpayer. All right, now, suppose I do not marry this lady. Now, if I move in with her and do not tell you, then we're both crooks, right?
You look at that snippet, right? And I'm really curious if you can put in the chat below of just, after seeing that video, like what is some of the things that you noticed in that video? Like, what did you notice that took place in that video? And I'm really curious to see what did you see, what did you notice that took place? And I just want to highlight a couple things, right? A couple things is that, first of all, welfare, welfare is supposed to be something that help individuals when they are between a rock and a hard place, right? When they just need, a little support, little assistance. It really is not supposed to be something where it is like where it's supposed to be more so just transactional, get us to a place here to move here, not just staying on it for the rest of your life. But I look at this family, and how the system looks at it is that here he is trying to help this lady, not just try to help her financially, but he loves her, he want to marry her. But the system says, listen, you got to report all of this, report the funding and all that. I get it. I get the part of reporting, but it's the bigger picture, right? The big picture is that if they receive any additional dollars, inkling over what that threshold is, they will remove that support, right? And so what happens even till today, that sometimes in how the family dynamics is set up, is that a woman can look at it and say, you know what? I don't want to get married to you. I don't need you. Why? Because the system helps me. And if you report your income, I'm going to lose all of this assistance. And so what happens is that family don't get married, or the woman like, yo, I don't even need you. Right. And it's just a pattern that just continue that was in the 70s. And this stuff still take place in the 2000s, right? Where the man can be pushed out of the house because of how the system is set up, making it much more difficult for a family unit to stay together. I look at myself as that, I do pretty, good financially, right? I do, but you look at somebody who want to send a child to school, to college. A lot of people, they can't afford it, right? They can't afford it because you made this much over, you got to pay for it on your own, and then these kids got to go into debt. The family can't afford to send their kids to school because they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And it's the same thing with the system with the welfare. You know how it was. It's like this man who wanted to make this woman, his wife, and he couldn't, right? According to their statutes, that if he was there, she couldn't receive support. So now what happens is that she has all these children, she has a husband, but now they struggling. And so now it's like a history or a cycle of them living in poverty, children living in poverty, can't move forward because they don't have the finances to move into a safer environment. It's like keeping them in that cycle. But the big thing that I'm seeing there is that it wasn't set up to strengthen the family. Right here, they was running around, like Magnum PI, to where now he's now being watched again. Right. So now he feel like he's being watched. So he's like, yo, I'm out. In a lot of cases, he's like, yo, I don't want to have to put up with all of this stuff. I don't want to jump through your hoops. I don't want to jump through all of these things that you put in place. So it's easier for me just to leave than have to stay to put up with all of this. And so my thing is that we have to look at our systems and the things that we have in place that breaks down the family unit and what makes it more difficult for the family unit to stay together. And I look at some agencies, man, where, we put all of these services out there. And a lot of times what we do, we focus on one part of the family unit. Is either we focusing on the child, we focusing on the mom, or the dad is left out, right? Or the dad is last. My thing is we need more programs and more services that strengthen the family. And I'm not talking about that you got to live in the same house. I'm not saying that you got to be, married. But what are we doing to strengthen the family? And so when we strengthen families, we have safer communities. We have a more vibrant, community. Children have a better opportunity to live a more thriving life where they're not just striving, right? And a lot of this stuff is systematic. And that's a whole nother conversation. But the thing about it, we have to look at what we have in place to give men hope, for men to keep on fighting, for men to want to take their rightful place. And I was doing research not too long ago. And I'll tell you, like, some of the biases that I had, and I had to look at it, I was like, yo, Shon, the bias that you have about Black men, don't forget you Black, right? So doing this work, it helped me to really look at some of the stuff that I was brainwashed about by media and by, just what we see on television. Because I had a bad and negative thought and, feeling about Black fathers, like, yo, Black fathers don't want to be present. Why? Because that's what you see on TV. That's what you hear. They don't come out directly and just say that. It's through what they show and what they support. Right? Just think about it. That's what they show and what they report. And so when I was doing this research, it showed the very opposite. It showed the very opposite. It showed that when they did a study I think it was in 2019, they did a study and they asked about 1,000 families, like 1,000 individuals. And of that, it showed that there was a larger number showing that African American males were involved in their children's life, even though they weren't in the house, compared to other people group. That's what the statistics showed, right? The statistics show that, and even this was mothers reporting that the father, even though he's not in the house, he is involved financially, emotionally. But if we listen to what media and what they're trying to tell us, we would think that Black men don't want to be involved. And understand that InvolvedDad is not about, just Black men. That's it. We are against anything that would try to break down the family dynamic as it relates to fathers. And this is just one of the barriers and one of the issues that's the attack on the family. I talk to a lot of white dudes who have some of the same issues, not the same plights as black men, but they have some of their same issues, right? Where if you're, with your child and the mom is not around, they call it babysitting. We're babysitting, right? Like those are some of the like biases that we have to break down. Some of the things that we have to attack so we can not drink the Kool-Aid that it's okay with the family structure to be broken and destroyed. We have to keep fathers involved. We have to look at what we are doing. How do we bring fathers into the conversation? How do we support men? How do we give them the resources that they need to be the father that they always desired to be and the father that they want to be to their children? Right? That like we have to really be honest. If our policies strengthening families or destroying families? We have to be honest about it. And I need you to be honest about yours. Like, what are your biases as it relates to that? You have some people, some women, they just like, yo, I don't need a man. I don't need, like, yo, I get it. You strong, you independent, right? We can do this thing, but we are better when we are together. And I'm not talking about, who you are intimate with sexually, relationally, none of that. I'm talking about if your son or daughter has a father, what can you do? What are you doing to strengthen your relationship? My girl Tanya, man, she put me on game with this one, with this thought about parenting, right? I only heard of co-parenting, but she introduced me to a concept of parallel parenting. And now I use that. I talk about that because the co-parenting is where we working together side by side. Parallel parenting is where we have a mediator. Some of us may need a mediator where we can't communicate as the adults right now at this moment. But how do we move closer to where we can co-parent, where we can coexist for the betterment of our child? Right? So that's the thing. So that's why we created InvolvedDad, to strengthen families, to be an answer, to be a solution. Listen to this one dude who was referred to us. Listen to what he had to say about us.
The day you called, it was a breath of fresh air. It made me feel like it's hope, because like I said, I was at the point to where it was nothing. There's no hope, man. It is what it is. I'm just gonna deal with it and move on. I'm a man. I gotta keep on moving. That's what we gotta do. And then, like I said, your phone call came and you explained the organization and what you're willing to help and how you guys are willing to help, and it gave me a better outlook. It made my last couple weeks better. Looking up, coming forward to this meeting.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, then with the problems I had today, it kind of shows me that it's something good. It's something good coming along. Whenever you're doing something for the good, it will be barriers to try to stop you or knock you. But that just lets you know further that everything is going where it's supposed to go.
And that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to be a solution. We're supposed to be a solution to somebody's problem. A solution. We need to build. We need to be present. We need to be present. It's cool, let's pray and let's walk side by side. Like, all those things is cool. And you guys know me. I'm a believer. I love Jesus. That's what I rock out with. But Jesus just didn't pray. Jesus turned water into wine. Jesus healed people. He became a solution, practical. And so my thing is that we have to be a solution. We have to be practical. We have to get in the trenches and we have to help people. And mine happen to be, again, working with families and fathers. And so that's my thing. I just wanted to chat with you guys tonight to let you know where my heart is, what's on my mind. as it relates to families. This is just some of the things that's on my mind and my heart. So as we close, right, I just want you to think about, are you helping families get stronger, or are you helping families get weaker? Are you building your man, your husband, your brother? Are you building them up, or are you destroying them? Are you emasculating him, or are you building him up? That's important. That's important. You get so many guys who just like, you know what? It's easier for me to leave than to fight. And then we get upset and angry with him, like, yo, you just keep. Listen, sometime, and I'm not making excuses, but you have to understand, we have to deal with the facts. And sometime boys and girls have babies. They don't even know how to fight. They don't know how to fight and build. They don't know how to fight for their family. They don't know how to, create a strong family. And so if you are in a position to where you're going to be an example, you can help this young man or this young woman learn how to fight and how to build a strong family, then you should play your part. And because a lot of times the dude would say, oh, she don't want me to be involved because he didn't have his father. He like, I'm going to raise, my children differently than my father raised me. So what happened, he gets in the cycle of going over here to this new family. Like, this is going to be the one. I'm going to do it right this time. And then he keeps making the same mistakes. He doesn't want to, but because he doesn't have the skill set, he doesn't have the information, so he keep repeating the same cycle, right? And the same thing with the women attracting these same type of dudes. That's a whole nother conversation. But we have to find ways to solve the problem. All right, this is your boy Shon Hart, man. And no, I can't leave without doing a legit or not legit. Legit or not legit. So before I do that, do me a favor. Go to our podcast. We on YouTube. We are on Spotify and Apple and all that type of stuff. Please go subscribe and follow us as we continue to build our Father's Heart podcast. We just want to get information out there to help give you guys tools and strategies how you can become better at what you do, specifically our fathers. So please go subscribe, tag somebody, share this podcast episode tonight, and then we'll see you next week. But for this week, my legit or not legit, because I'm here by myself. So my thing is it legit or not legit for your homeboy to have you do the podcast by yourself? Is that legit or not legit? Like, Cole hit me up earlier and was like, yo, I can't make it tonight. I got to write this grant, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, I got you. So I'm putting him out on blast. Is it legit or not legit for him to have me do this by myself? And I'm not going to say what my answer is. I'll tell you what mine is next week. But I want you to type below, is it legit or not legit? And I'm going to tell you my answer. All right? See you next week, man. Appreciate you. Have a blessed week.